Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
You know what? It's one of those days where I mean, seldom am I in a bad mood. I have, like every human being, moments of genuine sadness, things to deal with in real life that bring you down in the moment. But those things legitimately, arguably, should, if you are a healthy individual. If you have the sads because there's a sad thing going on, yeah, that's how being a person works. But in general, I do not, bless you, I think, or maybe cough.
It was just a cough. It was totally lame. I'm over here choking on my own saliva like a pro.
This is a professional broadcast.
Yeah.
By the way, my mom says mercy when you cough. So.
Okay. Good to know.
Mercy. So I guess it's an in and out, different orify thing. We also say rats in our family when we break wind, not because we're like, sort of as an expletive to go, oh no, but is to blame it on rats. That's the family way. Rats, we get rats. They're rats. That's the way you do it in the Sparks family. Anyways, so happiness and joy and happy, joy. So I have been, I would say, wonderfully right about so many things over the last couple of years. I called, the Democrats winning the 2020. I called the ticket that it was going to be Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. That Trump was going to get trounced by at least double. And I am saying, and I've been saying, we're going to win the Senate. And I think the House as well. The House, because it was just this juggling thing in the air. It was hard to tell how it's going to go. But two things make me profoundly comfortable in saying that. One is we're on our way to 219. There's a very strong chance that the House will break Democratic anyways. On top of that, there are two, I think, maybe three, but there are two Republicans in the House who are, one's new and I think one's coming back, that are under indictment that are going to get broomed in the next 4 months. So they might swear in and then go to jail. So there'll be another, and they were both Trumpies, but which is no surprise. But they will, more than likely, if they get broomed, and they will, the person replacing them, like that, will be somebody that everybody decried as a rhino and part of Mitch McConnell's thing that was in the primary against them, and a Democrat who was fairly close. So just, even like there's a very small chance that they might win it and then lose it before the swearing in goes. And do you know, considering how midterms are supposed to go for the incumbent, for the office that holds the presidency, do you know how sweet, how joyful, how blisteringly beautiful that will be when the Republicans get to pick out the drapes and find out then and only then that the mortgage didn't go through? There will be such the hubris smashing against the Schadenfreude in a big crashing closing of the red wave that never was in the Red Sea is just going to be so glorious. So I would present to and the other thing is that it'll give them just enough time to eat Kevin McCarthy like some sort of grown-up Republican Lord of the Flies that's going to go on. Now, that brings us to Nevada. Right now, Cortez Masto is 798 votes away from systolic, whatever his name is. Anyways, and I'm blitzing on it because I don't care, because he's going to lose, and I'm not bothering to memorize people who aren't going to be in office. There are too many people I have to deal with that are. And anyways, he's the only thing that's left is these dropped off on the same day. This is Arizona and Nevada are both in the same situation. Dropped off on the same day mail-in, and Friday, Saturday mail-in votes. And all of those, the idea is that for some reason, there's some sort of, kitty. There's some reason that people believe that the vote this time is going to be anything like 2020. It is not. There is no way the vote breaks the same way it did when we were all in lockdown and the vast majority of Democrats did it by mail almost entirely. I mean, that was a huge number. And that somehow the people who dropped theirs off on the day are Republicans by and large. Nope. Went back to 2018 numbers with a pump for Democrats pushed by abortion and the idea of saving democracy. And, and the reason that is because you had people who wanted to vote on the day and throw their sticker picture up on social media, and they were good, decent people and didn't want to wear them until they'd actually voted. And so instead of mailing it in and then putting their sticker on, like, I voted on Wednesday of last week, I went down and I threw it in there and then I slapped on my sticker and here I am. Or they went into the actual early voting place on Monday and did it. And in some of those places, both in Nevada and Arizona, you fill out your ballot, you put it in an envelope, and you put it in the same bin that you would if you'd have returned a mail-in ballot. So there's little distinction between the two of those. There's a ton of... This goes back to what happened in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and the total misunderstanding between what constitutes a mail-in versus an absentee versus an early vote in those areas. Tons of overlap. It was the great stickering of 2022. But this is, I'm telling you, those votes are not going to break. And I'm not the only one. Boozy on Twitter, Mueller, she wrote, we've all been correct about this. They are not going to break Republican because we went back to how people vote in 2018, basically, because nobody's voting under COVID anymore. And anybody who thinks it reminds me of, and by the way, Johnny Million, I love you. Good morning. I'll finish this rant in a second and we'll chit chat after the break. But the same people who think this election is going to be anything like 2020 in terms of how people vote materially are the same idiots who are telling you that the economic picture right now is somehow it can be read against 1982, 1976, 1992, 2008, any of that stuff, because none of those had a pandemic a year and a half before it.
Yep.
There's no measurable way to balance or make any. It's stunning to me that all over CNBC, all over Market Watch, everybody's like, why is the stock market going up? Or because people have hope again, and a bunch of people, quite frankly, large institutional right-wing investors were waiting to buy the dip until after the midterms, even if it lost them money, because they didn't want to give Democrats a win. They didn't want to spike. Everybody thinks the bottom already hit a week ago, but they were literally holding off because they were afraid to give Biden a win right before the election. And the irony is that we are going to get all 50 of the seats, and then the Walker-Warnoff run will happen without Republicans turning out to determine control of the Senate. So why would they bother? A bunch of them, why would they bother in Georgia? If we already have 50 plus Kamala Harris, we'd be back in the exact same situation. The Warnock seat is just gravy at that point. You're not going to get turnout. Yeah, I agree. She knows exactly what's up. And so it's hard to motivate people to go out and vote if it's not going to materially change anything, especially when you've already been told by the leader of your party that voting is BS and why bother. So did anyone
else have notice, did your gas prices take a tumble on election day?
Yes, they went down like 10 cents here. Immediately.
Yeah, they went down like 40 cents here.
Yeah, well, I live near a freeway between two cities that are huge tourist destinations, so they milk everybody. And the same thing in California, and it's gonna continue to go down. Oil prices have cadavered, And they bumped up like everything else because everybody just bought in and threw money back in. This is worldwide, by the way. Americans aren't the only ones who invest in our stock market. But the point I'm trying to make ultimately is that the Walker-Warnock race will be done under two particular weights that benefit Democrats. One is determination of the control of the Senate will not be decided by that race. So why bother? And then the second one is...
And he's going to be miserable. Have you seen the interviews with him? Oh,
it's awful. God. It's absurd. It is.
So
it makes no sense. It is and the thing is, the only reason
they say I'm loud. Now that I'm finally talking, they say I'm loud.
All right. I'll fix it. Relax. Fantastic. Just calm down.
Oh my God, you slayed me on the Schadenfreude, live stream when you did. It was like all Jesse Ventura all the time, and he had the mustache.
Because I was doing Mike Pillow, and every time I do Mike Pillow, my Minnesota accent drifts into Jesse.
Word. And you're the character. I mean, this isn't really a stretch, but you make him so dumb. So dumb.
He's so dumb. He's so because you carry it to the natural. All you have to do is say the stuff he wants to say, and you'll sound like an idiot. He literally holds back. As dumb as he sounds, he's holding back. Most of the Q-ish stuff that he believes for real. And that applies to both Mike Pillow and Jesse the Body Ventura, I would like to say. But here, again, finishing this up, and then we'll go to break. But the Walker-Warnock race, if everything breaks like we're looking at, and Masto pulls ahead like she will, and we maintain control of the Senate, there are two things Republicans are ice skating up a hill against. One, they are not going to determine control of the Senate, so why bother? And two, the economy is going to be in better shape by December 6th than it was leading up to the election, because all the rich people and all the corporations that were holding back on money to try and give Republicans a little bit of a tip up in their story about how the economy was tanking can't not jump back into the market and make all that money. They're not going to leave that money on the table anymore. So I'm telling you, it's going to be so sweet. And what we're going to talk about after we come back is the Republicans are turning on Trump. It's finally happening.
It's amazing.
Just like I said it would. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
The polls. I feel like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. The polls.
A friend of mine was really nervous about the potential results, because he was paying close attention to the polls. We were talking like the weekend before the election,
right?
And I actually hadn't been paying too much attention to the polls because
you're a wise man.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. Right. So, what I thought was funny is that after the fact, when it was such an amazing, non-event, everything kind of worked out the way we hoped. It was, I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted by Flora.
That's all right.
Here she is. And I kept seeing all of these pundits after the fact say the polls don't matter, especially for Gen Z. They're not going to answer an unknown call. They don't have the patience to go all the way through a questionnaire.
That's right.
But they hate having their rights taken away.
And they would like to be able to vote when they get older.
Yes.
Yeah. A bunch of we heard about this Red Mirage polling push by right-wing polling groups that were flooding the zone. Right. They were flooding the zone with all these, polls that showed Republicans up and Democrats down. The problem with that strategy was twofold. One was it motivated Democrats to get out. They literally, right when that strategy started, you can track that strategy starting directly with the rise in Democratic interest in voting. You know that, people, how excited are you to vote? That literally spiked for Democrats. It was low, apparently. Not that meant anything, but it was low, lower than Republicans, leading into the last 3 weeks of the election cycle. And then as soon as those polls started popping out and the whole talk of red wave started happening in force on Fox News and around, it even bled over into MSNBC and it's obvious there's going to be a shellacking, all that
and
kind
Joe
of talk.
Rogan and
Oh my
Elon Musk.
God.
Good God, Joe Rogan.
It's silly. So as soon as that happened, it spiked Democratic interest in the election cycle. It literally worked in the opposite sense. And the other part is that Republicans themselves started going, well, if we're going to be that overwhelming, then they don't need me. I'm in a bluish district.
Yeah. Sounds like we're good.
Yep. And for the record, Republicans outperformed Democrats nationwide by about 4 points. More Republicans showed up. Yeah, more Republicans showed up to vote by about 4%. Here's the interesting thing, though. A lot of them are people who sat out Trump, didn't like him, and showed up to split ticket between Dems and sensible Republicans. And so that explains more than anything how, there's these weird things in New York and other places where they're like, okay, I'm going to vote for Hochul and I'm going to vote for the Democratic senator, but I'll vote for the Republican congressperson, and not even caring whether they were the MAGA people that they were trying to push in New York, but just kind of checking 2 Ds, 1 R, 2 Ds, 1 R. That's how they went. And that in and of itself was, even those people, their motivation to vote was anti-Trump. The people who voted for Kemp in Georgia were anti-Trump voters. The people who voted...
So even if the Republicans came out in a higher number, they were there to get rid of Trump-endorsed candidates?
Right. And they were voting, a lot of them, for... In a lot of these cases, they voted for the Democrat that mattered and the Republican that didn't. So you've got some freshman Republicans that came in the redistricting that became ultimately a wash, where they voted for their Democratic governor, their Democratic senator. These are Republicans, but they voted for the Republican congressperson or a mayor or something like that, where ultimately...
Because the Republican governors that they put up were insane now.
Right. Well, and again, Carrie Lake is close in, by some people's measure, but she's, I think right now, 32,000 she's behind? Look, Biden was 1,100 votes or something in Arizona. I always forget whether it was 1,100 or 11,000, but it was it was smaller than this number by a lot. And the irony that she's going to ask for recount after recount and be annoying Arizona voters for months to come when it's over. It's so over.
She's going to waste a lot of money on that.
Yes, she is. And she's going to have a bunch of lawsuits thrown out, which are going to motivate, Mike Pillow to say even these judges, they won't look at the Pillow Ventura. How come they won't look at my evidence, man? Hey, I'm hiding it in the basement of the Denver airport. So, now the beauty of this, the gloriousness of this, and I've said many times that we must thank our lucky stars with, in good order, that the people who tried to execute January 6th are, to a person, morons. Just idiots abound. From Trump himself to Steve Bannon to Roger Stone to Mike Pillow to Ginny Thomas to the Talking Points USA. I agree. Complete morons. Absolute idiots. I know.
She just woke up from a nap and does not know what to do with herself.
Right. That's all right. She's agreeing with me. I'm just going to take it as agreement. So
she is.
See? There she goes. Yeah. By the way, for people listening on the radio, there is no cat. This is like Fight Club. Those noises are coming from John's body.
They're me, yeah.
Yeah, right. So the sweetest thing about all of this, and the fact that like this January 6th was always going to be a flailing psych out by these folks, and then it's going to dwindle into like the hammer attack we saw on Paul Pelosi and the guy who shot his neighbor because he thought he was a Democrat. These single person pop-offs. It's terrible. It's awful. But that's what I've said. This kind of rhetoric, the Marjorie Taylor Greene rhetoric, the Trump rhetoric, all that stuff is never going to trigger a civil war. It's not going to happen. Never. Americans aren't that far gone. But there are those among us that are a little bit spun, and all you got to do is spin them up like a plate, and they'll pop off. And that's the concern, and that's why you have to watch that kind of like violent rhetoric. It's just not, it's crucial. As a matter of fact, that's why most of the time you do it in society. It isn't because of the mass of society, it's because of who it triggers. You know, whenever you're talking about certain sensitive topics, like doing oneself in, even if you talk about it in a way that is meant to help people who might be on the edge of it, the more you talk about it, it actually becomes social contagion, and it actually causes more of it. It's one of the ironies of the social structure of humanity. Same thing is true of these kind of folks. You're not going to trigger, ask, well, he's dead now, but ask Charles Manson how hard it is to kick off a giant revolution that gives you control of the planet. It's a bit complicated. And it doesn't work out the way you think. And, and you might be able to convince 8 people to do it, but you're never going to launch a movement. So Trump is I've always said that those people, though, are the reason why the belief that there's a large number of folks like that out there is the reason why Merrick Garland, the DOJ, and a lot of the state AGs and stuff were slow walking some of this stuff. Why January 6th was necessary to reveal to everybody what Trump was up to and how awful he is and how he does not care about the people he alludes to caring about. And now they're starting to get the message, and it's driving him nuts. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more Johnny Million. Follow Johnny Million at Johnny Million on Twitter while it still exists. And,
That's amazing.
Oh my God!
Insulin is free.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to get a lawsuit out of that one. We got to. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. Johnny Million's doing some cat maintenance right now, and I can't say, but he's coming back. Hold on, he's back with me. Is he there, Johnny Million? And 3, 2, 1, and pow. There he is. Hi, welcome back. Johnny Million, everybody. It's bad when Kayleigh McEnany is on Fox News talking to Harris Faulkner, who sounds like the name of a writer from the 20s. Right? Harris Faulkner's A Walk in the Woods is a quintessential early Americana story of whatever, one man's struggle in the iron business. So if Kayleigh McEnany is on Fox saying Trump should punt his big announcement on Tuesday, the screaming, the wailing, the gnashing of teeth that is going on in Trump world right now about his stupid pseudo announcement that he did on Monday right before the election in this big just like ego drop, and then immediately going after DeSantis on election night, like once the votes are cast, all bets are off, whatever way it goes. First of all, it's just so good. It's just so good. It's so fun to watch. It's a joy. So, if I may, it feels like time for sort of a, I don't know if there's a master truth theater, something like that. Yeah. Where if I I end up going, okay, here we go. Let me see if I can find this here. Yeah. So, by the way, Trump, there are pictures of him, but Trump was, Tiffany got married. Not the singer Tiffany, but Tiffany Trump, who, by the way, I sang with not too long ago. Tiffany is lovely, and it was nice to see her again. She was at the Rock Against MS, and she sang, and she killed it. Voice is just getting more powerful with age. It's annoying. She's just getting stronger all the time. My wonderful daughter Tiffany will be getting married today at Mar-a-Lago. She and Michael are a beautiful couple who will be very happy together. A big thank you and congratulations to Tiffany's mother, Marla, on the bringing up of a really great daughter. Like, basically just saying, I had no part in it. I met a stranger today, like all the others who get married at Mar-a-Lago, and she seemed like she managed to eat without getting her fork in her eye. Now, that was 12 hours ago. There was another tweet, or truth, right above it, immediately at the same time. Idiot and possibly corrupt officials have lost control of the tainted election in Arizona. Machines broken in Republican areas. A new election must be called immediately, in all caps. I know, I don't buy it either. Yeah. Rigged elections, open borders equal third world countries. The USA is a failing nation. Donald Trump posted that on Veterans Day. I don't know. Oh, right. Hold on. I was, yes, sorry, you're fine now. I was muting, I want to be clear. I was muting Johnny and not the cat. See, there you go. I didn't.
My poor wife is trying to explain to Flora that she needs to be quiet, and it's
No, it doesn't work.
working.
They don't understand
No.
English. It's no, absolutely. Cats
Because
speak
they get louder
French.
when you make eye contact with them.
Right. Cats speak French or noises. They
Yes.
understand opening of tin, shaking of bag. Chip understands because I taught him the attack noise from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The dog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I taught him that. So I trained him with treats with that noise. So if I go, he runs over to me, and then the second one he will get up on my knee, and then he sits. It's amazing.
And then you dump a whole can of Alpo and mac and cheese
And
into
stare
his-
at him.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you both
can eat.
do insane violence towards women.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly him though, and mostly the other cats, and because he doesn't discriminate. Okay, so
Good.
this is my favorite one. I mean, he was basically nonstop, just blathering like old school Trump on Twitter, just raging and screaming. I mean, you can almost smell the ketchup coming from this. But there's a few of them that are my favorite. Ones are, and I have to say, he does not realize what he is saying. It's kind of stunning. The Democrats are finding all sorts of votes in Nevada and Arizona. What a disgrace that this could be allowed to happen.
I don't get it.
Not fake votes, not fake ballots, like he's not even smart enough or he's afraid of the legal ramifications of saying fake. Just they're finding all these ballots. It's like we hid them. We really did a good job. I had all these commissioners all over Arizona throwing them in rivers and ravines, and somehow it's like this big Democratic Easter egg hunt, and they're killing it. The Democrats are finding all sorts of votes in Nevada and Arizona. Jesus, man. All right. There is, and he quotes several articles that are too, like he'll go, thanks a lot to whoever they are. And if you click on the person and you click on their profile and then you click on one thing they like, 3 clicks away, you will find a diatribe of like, posts that rival the Pelosi hammer attack dude.
Oh boy.
All QAnon, all, baby milkshake, adrenochrome BS, all that stuff. So, And he retweets Kash Patel a lot, which is interesting considering Kash Patel just turned state's evidence on him and is definitely doing the best he can to try to get into Trump's good graces so he doesn't get, hounded out.
And Twitter is an amazing environment now.
Oh my! Well, and
as far as retweeting.
Of course. I mean, the conversations just between George W. Bush and Marco Rubio are amazing.
I do remember George W. Bush saying that he missed killing Iraqis.
Yeah. There was a bunch of very... Well, never mind. Like a lot of it's been pulled, but it's floating around. I can't repeat some of it on the air.
Yeah, some of it's absolutely slanderous and hilarious.
Now, one of the best things, and the thing I'm enjoying the most, believing as I do that the House will ultimately be in Democratic hands, is we won! Pelosi is gone. We take Congress, and if we can stop their very obvious cheating, we'll also take the Senate. Big victory. Don't be stupid. Stand on the rooftops and shout it out loud. And I was like, how dare you name drop one of my favorite Kiss songs, you rat. So, and then this was the weirdest one. Youngkin, now that's an interesting take. Sounds Chinese, doesn't it? Because he took Youngkin's name and he separated the Governor Youngkin from Virginia, who's a Republican, split his name into Youngkin. Sounds Chinese. By the way, it doesn't. It sounds Korean if you do that.
Yeah.
I would like to say for the record, like, again, just the soft racism, just the soft racism of DGAF. That's the Trump way. Like, those people. Like, it's amazing. Anyways, in Virginia, couldn't have won without me. I endorsed him, did a very big Trump rally for him telephonically. He did one of his tele-rallies because Youngkin did not want him to come to the state because he would lose. Got MAGA to vote for him, or he couldn't have come close to winning, but he knows that and admits it, besides having a hard time with the Dems in Virginia, but he'll get it done. I don't know what it is.
What's it?
But, and then just the DeSantis thing, he flat out admits to, he's lying about committing a crime. He basically says he sent the Justice Department in to stop them from stealing, like, the election from him because there were ballots coming in that weren't for DeSantis, and he put a stop to it, and there was none. Everybody, by the way, inside that was around at the time is going, that never happened. That's just materially not true. So, and the biggest complaint he has, and there was I want to find the direct quote. Let's see. I had great success on endorsements, perhaps like no one has had before, perhaps. Both for Republican nominations and the general election itself. By the way, that's how he gets his number really big. You notice he was like 324 or something. He doubles up. He takes people that won their primaries because he was told by the party and other people that there were shoo-ins, ignores any of the ones that he endorsed that were anywhere near having to work for it. If they lost, it wasn't his fault. It's just the bad candidates and it was against them and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So he takes credits for shoo-ins, and then now and then he doubles the number. He says they won their primary and their general in shoo-in elections for the Republican, areas that were like, of course they are. You didn't expand the map. I make this point about AOC. I love that she's there, but she didn't expand the map. She took a blue district and made it bluer. That's it. And it was always ready to be bluer. It was as a matter of fact, part of it was, we love the idea of voting for a woman of color who also believes what we believe. That was the extent of it in many ways for her vote expansion. She did great. She knocked on doors. She did exactly how you're supposed to do it. But she didn't do it in, say, like a Katie Porter district, which is why Katie Porter is on the edge right now. So that takes work. And saying like, boom, we did it around her district, for example, I'm glad she's in there, but it's not a huge win in that regard. And this is what Trump is doing. Trump is doing this with red districts. He took red districts and made them redder. That's what MTG was all about.
And he's disappointed that he's not getting enough credit for that.
Right, for just taking red districts and making them redder, or just literally making phone calls like, who's going to win in that area? Do they want my endorsement? Yeah, they'll take it. Okay.
Do they say nice things about me?
Yeah, exactly. And then he gets mad if he gives them the endorsement or claims them as a candidate, and they weren't a Trump candidate. They were just going to win anyways, and they're Republicans, and they had nothing against him because they want the MAGA vote, so they have to say it because that can make 2% difference in some of these districts, and how horrible it would be to have the MAGAs take their ball and stay home, kind of like the force the vote idea from the Progressive Caucus and on the Democratic side, but in terms of voters, you'll strangle your own agenda, right? So they just go, yeah, everybody on board. Just come on. It's totally cool. And in a lot of cases, he did these telephone rallies because if he showed up in person, it would have killed the person. If he did a rally there, they'd have lost. So like, yeah, just do it from home. It's totally cool. Just sit there and we'll put everybody who's already ready to vote for you on the other end of the phone where they can sit and listen. 90% of whom are not even in the state that he's doing the tele-rally for. It's just Qs who want to, who hang on his every word. They're spread all over the place. We got to take a break. I'm enjoying this far too much. It's too much. We'll be back right after this. By the way, next hour, Philip Ittner's going to be joining us from Kharkiv. I believe he's still in Kharkiv.
Are we going to do our thing, Hal?
Oh, we're going to do our thing. Oh, we are so going to do our thing. We'll be back right after this. Me too. We have to somehow step off camera when he's there so he doesn't see.
Attention, stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh my God!
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
We've been, some folks were asking during the break what the state of the Katie Porter race, and somebody in there said that she won, but I hadn't heard it had been called. So do we know officially what's the current state of affairs there?
What I'm seeing on the AP is that it's only 67% reporting.
Right.
And she's up 51.2% to 48.8%.
Yeah. Are they saying too early to call or too close?
They've not officially called it.
Yeah. Okay. So we shall see. But I would like to say for the record that, and again, by the way, that split ticket idea that I was talking about earlier with Republicans popping out to vote, for a Democrat when they normally wouldn't. You know where they all went, in large part, those transitional folks? You know where they went? They voted against the abortion bills that were all over this country.
Yeah.
Because again, did Gen Z come out? Absolutely. Were they, that, and you'll hear the percentages of Gen Z and how amazing it is. I got news for you, though. Gen Z is a smaller generation than, say, millennials. Bigger than Gen X, but smaller still. So everybody played a part. Nobody, you know what I mean? You can't have a foamy beer if the glass is empty. The idea is that it can't foam over the top unless it's all there. So to everybody who voted to bring these things down, these horrible draconian women as second-class citizen BS bills to try and force local political officials into the decision-making process that a woman, a family, and a doctor who's telling a woman who wants to be a mom, and has to make a terrible decision, to have an alderman standing there going, well, we have to have somebody from the local election board here to it's grotesque. And it did motivate a lot of it. This is where Republicans got out over their skis. Do we have an official number on Boebert? Because that's been fair. That's been hair's breadth as well.
Yeah, she's still showing up by half a point.
Yeah, locked in an unexpectedly close race. Some constituents say they're tired of, quote, mini Trump. Well, considering Trump, isn't everyone that's like him a mini Trump?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Was she supposed to like win big?
Oh yeah. The idea was that she was an example of people who were, running on. Now again, she ran largely on the gun stuff. Like she carried a gun. Her staff carried a gun. There was this idea that they're not going to take away my guns or whatever. Okay, first of all, nobody, especially in Colorado or the federal government, is taking away your handgun. If you need it for self-defense, you have a concealed carry permit, or or any of that stuff. The idea that you can have a magazine with 30 to 60 rounds in it, and you're saying that's for self-defense, is an absurdity. And the only reason you would need one of those is if you're going to go on a killing spree or you're trying to fight cops and soldiers. It's not necessary. And here's the thing. Democrats have always had an exception for collectors and sport users in all the gun bills around this stuff. You just got to let us know you have them. Just got to let the locals know so that they don't have somebody who's stockpiling guns the way the Unabomber stockpiled explosives. You can still have them, but you got to let your neighbors know you have them so they can either take precautions like move or arm themselves, I suppose, or they can, check your temperature, mentally every time you step out onto the lawn. And because you want to be aware that somebody has this, arsenal going on. You can have it, but if you're going to be a hero that protects America, I got to know what you believe that entails. Because if you decide to, I'm going to fight tyranny and the war just isn't happening and you're just getting all fed up and you decide to use that thing on your family or yourself and your walls are like paper and my house is 12 yards away and I'm eating a bowl of cornflakes, I don't need to be riddled with armor-piercing bullets because you think the great day of the rope is coming because you've been on, you've been riding BitChute and Reddit threads for the last 5 years. Nobody cares. And there's these guys. There's a group, a guy called Kentucky Ballistics, I think, on YouTube. And then there's another guy, I think they're called like Demolition Farm or something like that. And basically they're just a ain't guns fun kind of a channel. And they get new cutting edge weapons and they get them loaned to them by gun companies and they shoot at different stuff. They have a jellied body that you could see how it passes through. And then they have like tin sights and then they have watermelons and all kinds of, and they shoot tin cans and whatever. It's just stupid. I got no problem with those guys. No, those guys are not going to pop off. They're former military. If they have those things, I'm telling you, you have nothing to fear from those guys at all. And so
those are the people. I've got a lot of friends who listen to podcasts about how to not be an idiot with a gun. There's a whole and
it's totally cool.
Yeah, just be sane. Don't how to push back against the crazies.
That's right. And what happens is, and none of those folks are against the idea of knowing who's stockpiling weapons and arms. Seriously. And again, they're not ashamed of having any of those things. If you said you got to register to have a giant sniper rifle or something, and they're like, yeah, that's cool. Okay. Because again, if you think they don't know, it's silly. If the corporation you bought it through the web or something, if you're buying guns off the dark web, you're a problem. You are. But if you're buying them through normal channels, through a licensed gun dealer and all that kind of stuff, you don't have a problem with most of the limitations that Democrats put on guns, including the assault ban, which includes a provision where collectors and people who test and market guns, anybody who does these YouTube channels and that kind of stuff, or shows them for sport, you can get a distinction, and none of those people have a problem with that. All the collectors are they're proud to be a collector. They show off their collections. If you're hoarding guns, that's not a collection.
No.
And anyway, so a lot of those folks are kind of like, I guess, fessing up to or realizing that the Democrats are not coming for your guns in the abstract. They're coming for those people who don't. I know. And she's armed to the teeth.
She is, literally.
I just like,
I don't even know where she is.
get down, Johnny Million, get down.
Yeah.
By the way, and in the next hour coming up, we got Philip Ittner joining us. Here's what I would like to see coming out of this as far as Democrats go, is that we start, you know how we want people to make a distinction between people who riot and people who protest? That it's important, right? We know this. The Republicans try to conflate both those groups. Everybody's a rioter. The protests are worthless because everybody's a rioter. They try that all the time. It's wrong. It's dismissive of the real reason people protest, and the act and the right to protest in the United States is sacred. If we could talk, if we would recognize that when we talk about some of the other side groups in the same way, we get the same reaction that we get when people call George Floyd protesters rioters and think they should all be thrown in jail or that they were causing damage. And recognize that. As soon as you recognize that, then you start to mitigate how you talk about stuff, and you will start reaching people. On the other side, I think Philip will be joining us. He's going to call in, like fingers crossed that all works, because Johnny and I have a surprise for him. That said, we'll see you guys in a little bit. We'll be back right after this.